When the web started, I used to get really grumpy with people because they'd put my poems up, they'd put my stories up, they'd put my stuff up on the web, and I had this, a belief which was completely erroneous, that if people put your stuff up on the web and you didn't tell them to take it down, you would lose your copyright, which actually is simply not true. And I also got very grumpy because I felt like they were pirating my stuff, that it was bad. And then I started to notice that two things seemed much more significant. One of which was places where I was being pirated, particularly Russia, where people were translating my stuff into Russian and spreading it out into the world. I was selling more and more books. People were discovering me through being pirated. And then they were going out and buying the real books. And when a new book would come out in Russia, it would sell more and more copies. And I thought that was fascinating. And I tried a few experiments. And some of them were quite hard. You know, persuading my publisher, for example, to take one of my books and put it out for free. And we took American Gods, a book that was still selling, and selling very well, and for a month they put it up completely free on their website, and you could read it, and you could download it, and what happened was sales of my books through independent bookstores, because that was all we were measuring it through, went up the following month 300%. And I started to realize that actually you're not losing books, you're not losing sales by having stuff out there. And when I give a big talk now on these kind of subjects, and people say, well, what about the sales that I'm losing through having stuff copied, through having stuff floating out there? I started asking audiences to just raise their hands for one question, which is I say, okay, do you have a favorite author? And they say yes. And I say, good. What I want is for everybody who discovered their favorite author by being lent a book, put up your hands. And then anybody who discovered your favorite author by walking into a bookstore and buying a book, raise your hands. And it's probably about 5–10%, if that, of the people actually discovered an author who is their favorite author, who is the person they buy everything of, and they buy the hardbacks, and they treasure the fact that they've got this author. Very few of them bought the book. They were lent it. They were given it. They did not pay for it. And that's how they found their favorite author. And I thought, you know, that's really all this is.
Is defined as the illegal reproduction and distribution of copyrighted material on the web, though this definition fails to distinguish exactly what actions are considered illegal. While it's clear that uploading and downloading movies from torrent websites is in the illegal category, actions such as ripping and burning copies of CDs is not, so long as they are yours. I wonder then, how is a burned CD different from mixtapes, or even just lending a CD to a friend? In the case of illegal downloads, you clearly have individuals profiting from intellectual property of others. Even if they are not taking money for the distribution, they can still make a profit through advertising on the site. While not a direct loss to the entertainment industry, there can be an argument made for the loss of potential sales. At what point does lending become stealing?
Now get ready for what is becoming the single largest illegal BitTorrent downloading case in U.S. history. At least 23,000 file sharers are likely to be notified soon that they're being sued for downloading The Expendables. And no, not the incredibly popular animation film, I mean the B-list one with Sylvester Stallone. And if you thought that the major Hollywood and recording studios had abandoned that technique of going after individual downloaders, and that they had switched to focus to lobbying Washington, well then you'd be right. This is a whole new ballgame that we're talking about. The case is being led by the U.S. Copyright Group, a coalition of indie film producers who have pioneered a new strategy that most say is all about making money and not about combating piracy. Now, contacting the downloaders personally, offering a settlement of $2,000 or $3,000 so that it never goes to court, that's the strategy there. And most people end up saying yes. It sounds like a massive scam, but the problem is it's legal. And altogether, there are about 140,000 BitTorrent downloaders who are currently being targeted in lawsuits across the country.
Lawsuits are largely ineffective in curbing internet piracy. It could be described as a game of whack-a-mole where the mallet is very slow. As websites are taken down and individuals are sued, more sites appear to take their place. SOAP and PIPA were pieces of legislation that had hoped to change that and afford more power to the copyright holders. The Stop Online Piracy Act was a bill introduced by Representative Lamar S. Smith of Texas to expand the ability of U.S. law enforcement to fight online trafficking in copyrighted intellectual property and counterfeit goods. Provisions included requesting court orders to bar advertising networks and payment facilities from conducting business with infringing websites, preventing search engines from linking to the websites, and requiring internet service providers to block access to these websites. The law would have also expanded existing criminal laws to include unauthorized streaming of copyrighted content and imposing a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. These two bills were both shot down after backlash from the web community, but revised versions are being formed and introduced to Congress.
The bills that they have produced now are so broad, they are so outrageous. Let me tell you exactly what they do, okay? So first of all, this new bill in the House will create new causes of action against a wide range of internet sites for facilitating copyright or trademark infringement. That's the stated purpose, fine. But then, look at what happens. A simple allegation submitted to financial and advertising networks would be sufficient to start the process. So all you need is someone saying, yeah, that's my copyright, and I'm going to use it against Google and shut down maybe all of YouTube, maybe all of Google.